Tonight's UFC Vegas 109 event featured a pivotal middleweight clash with Roman Dolidze facing off against Anthony Hernandez in the main event. Dolidze came in riding a solid 3-fight winning streak, highlighted by a decision win over former title challenger Marvin Vettori back in March. Before that, the Caucasian secured an impressive TKO victory over Kevin Holland at UFC 307, showing his striking prowess and resilience inside the cage. On the other side, Anthony Hernandez entered the fight with momentum from a remarkable 7-fight winning streak. His most recent octagon victory was a decision over Brendan Allen earlier this year. Hernandez, known as Fluffy, had also rattled off 4 consecutive stoppage wins prior, including impressive finishes against Michel Pereira and Roman Ankalaev, proving his growing threat in the division. From the opening bell, it was clear that Hernandez was the aggressor, taking control and smothering Dolidze with relentless pressure. Fluffy showcased excellent cardio and wrestling, consistently dictating the pace and location of the fight. After nearly finishing the bout with a TKO late in the second round, Hernandez locked in a vicious standing choke midway through the 4th round, forcing Dolidze to tap out at 249. The victory was an emphatic statement from Hernandez, who immediately called out for a title shot, signaling his readiness to challenge the elite in the middleweight division. Official results was that Anthony Hernandez defeated Roman via submission, standing choke, at 249 of round 4. Dominick Reyes praised the high-paced nature of the fight, noting it as a, quote, cardio race, where Hernandez outworked Roman. Alan Jubin was impressed with Roman's size, but acknowledged Hernandez's dominance in takedowns and control. Henry Cejudo commented on Hernandez being one step ahead in all aspects, striking, clinch, and ground, and highlighted his 8-fight winning streak, which is unprecedented for a UFC middleweight aiming for a title shot. Kelvin Gastelum celebrated the intense action, calling it a, quote, high-paced, thrilling main event. Josh Emmett predicted Hernandez wouldn't need the full 5 rounds, calling him on fire. Gilbert Burns likened Hernandez's style to that of Cain Velasquez, underscoring his relentless aggression and skill. The consensus is clear. Anthony Hernandez has firmly established himself as a serious contender in the 185-pound division. With an undefeated streak nearing 9 wins and a performance that impressed both fans and analysts, Hernandez is now knocking loudly at the door for a shot at middleweight gold. Dominick Reyes has nothing but respect for his upcoming UFC Perth opponent, Carlos Ulberg, ahead of their main event clash on September 27th. While a victory would put Reyes firmly in the title conversation, he's keeping his focus firmly on the challenge at hand, knowing full well that beating Ulberg won't be easy. Reyes went on Submission Radio and praised Ulberg as the best athlete he's faced in the light heavyweight division, even more so than Jon Jones. Carlos moves his feet extremely well, Reyes said. He is very quick, very powerful. But his movement, man, he can move. He's an extremely good athlete, he's very balanced with everything he does. He's kind of safe. He fights very safe. Describing Ulberg's style, Reyes explained that the Kiwi tends to fight to not lose as opposed to win as he climbs the competition ladder. He's quite the test. He's got a great left hook. And he's good with that lead hand, man. He's real good with that lead hand. And he's light on his feet, and he kicks well. So it's going to be a very technical fight. Reyes also warned that Ulberg's patience could be a deciding factor. I'm gonna have to be very patient because he's so patient that he will almost lose a fight. That's how patient he is. Despite heading into enemy territory in Perth, Reyes knows a win here could propel him straight into a title shot. Currently ranked 8th at light heavyweight, Reyes boasts a professional record of 15-4 and is riding a 3-fight winning streak, including knockout wins over Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith, and Dustin Jacoby. This matchup promises to be a fascinating chess match between 2 highly skilled, technically sound fighters, and a crucial step for Reyes on his path back to championship contention. Kamaru Usman doesn't believe the UFC should rush into booking Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett, even though the two created plenty of headlines with their heated post-fight encounter. Topuria had just claimed the UFC lightweight title at UFC 317 with a knockout of Charles Oliveira when Pimblett entered the octagon for a tense stare-down. The moment quickly turned physical, with Topuria shoving the baddie before security stepped in. It seemed tailor-made for the UFC to promote, but Dana White later admitted he wasn't happy. Pimblett was even allowed inside the cage, signaling that the matchup might not be as close as it appeared. On his Pound for Pound podcast with Henry Cejudo, Usman praised Pimblett for maximizing the opportunities given to him and for winning fights that have kept him in the spotlight. Still, he argued that handing him a title shot now would skip over a deep list of proven contenders. Usman pointed to names like Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, Mateusz Gamrot, and Beneil Dariush, all ranked ahead of Pimblett, and all with far stronger cases based on resume and opposition faced. In his view, bypassing them would send the wrong message about how the sport rewards merit. Adding fuel to the conversation, Tsarukyan and Gaethje were both cage-side for Topuria's win, ready to stake their claims. Tsarukyan has openly accused Topuria of ducking him, while Gaethje has escalated matters by threatening retirement if passed over for the next title shot. This creates a dilemma for the UFC. Do they chase the hype and potential mainstream draw of Topuria-Pimblett, or stick to the rankings and put together a fight that keeps the competitive order intact? For now, no opponent has been confirmed for Topuria's first defense, but the tug-of-war between marketability and sporting legitimacy is already framing the discussion around his future, and whichever direction the UFC chooses will say a lot about the balance they want to strike between entertainment and competition in the lightweight division. Khamzat Chimaev is days away from the biggest moment of his career, a middleweight title clash against Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319, but he's already making it clear that he has no shortage of targets lined up for the aftermath. And one of those potential opponents is a familiar face, former champion and ex-training partner Sean Strickland. The two once shared rounds at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas, but by Chimaev's account, Strickland only began voicing grievances about their sparring long after the Chechen-born fighter left the city due to visa troubles. "I don't know," Chimaev said during Wednesday's open workout in Los Angeles. "When I was there, he never said anything. When I leave Vegas and they stop my visa, he started to talk. When I come back, I'm in LA, bro. Come on, if it's something personal for you, just come. I'm here whenever you want." That visa ordeal kept Chimaev out of US competition for nearly 3 years, forcing him to compete in Abu Dhabi and other international locations. Now, thanks to what he described as help from former President Donald Trump, he's back on American soil and ready to headline in Chicago next weekend. Although his attention is firmly on dethroning du Plessis, Chimaev's Fight Week headlines are being peppered with side stories. Another involves Paulo Costa, who accused Chimaev of sliding into his girlfriend's direct messages. Chimaev laughed off the claim, insisting it was all an angle from Costa's side. "She write to me, don't take it seriously. Don't be like that, Khamzat, we just want to try to make money," Chimaev recalled. "I said I don't care, I just want to F your guy up and that's it. So I don't like to be nice with guys who I am fighting with. After the fight, shake the hands, be respectful. In the war, don't need respect, just go and kill." If Chimaev beats du Plessis, the UFC could book an immediate rematch, but there's also a growing line of contenders eager for a shot at him. Reinier de Ridder remains undefeated in the promotion and is fresh off a statement win over former champion Robert Whittaker. Meanwhile, Caio Borralho and Nasruddin Imavov will battle in the UFC Paris main event on September 6th, with the winner potentially positioning themselves for a crack at the belt. For Chimaev, the matchmaking puzzle is simple. The opponent doesn't matter as much as the stakes. "Don't care," he said. "Where is the money? I fight for that. We'll see who they give the fastest way." Islam Makhachev has been making headlines again, this time not for his dominance inside the octagon, but for a viral training clip where he literally put a fellow pro fighter to sleep. The reigning UFC lightweight champion, and soon-to-be welterweight title challenger, was filmed rolling with PFL standout Makhachev, who's currently riding a 6-fight winning streak. In the footage, reposted by Red Corner MMA, Makhachev applies a choke during what appears to be a playful but competitive grappling session. Urging his partner not to tap, Makhachev can be heard saying, "Go to sleep, Sharip, don't give up." Moments later, Zaynikov's body starts to convulse, prompting Makhachev to release the hold and check if his teammate had indeed gone out. A second clip shows Makhachev catching Zaynikov in another submission, playfully remarking that Sharip said nobody could submit him. While the atmosphere seemed lighthearted, it's a reminder of just how quickly Makhachev can end a fight, even in a friendly setting. All this comes as Makhachev ramps up preparations for his anticipated UFC 322 clash with welterweight champ Jack Della Maddalena this November, a super fight first teased by Khabib Nurmagomedov himself. Moving up from 155 to 170 pounds, however, has not been as straightforward as many expected. Makhachev admitted earlier this year to MMA Junkie that bulking up has been tricky after years of meticulously cutting to lightweight. Teammate Gaji Rabadanov echoed that sentiment in a recent interview, noting that Makhachev is the same guy size-wise and hasn't noticeably bulked despite likely adding more lifting and power work to his training. Rabadanov summed it up with some uncertainty. "Maybe he's become a little bit bigger, but after a couple of months I still don't really know what's going to happen." That raises the question, will Makhachev's skill and speed translate perfectly to welterweight, or will the size gap against a power striker like Della Maddalena prove to be the biggest hurdle of his career? If his gym chokeout of Zaynikov is any indication, his submission threat is as sharp as ever, but welterweight gold may demand more than technique alone. Steve Erceg showed resilience and grit to overcome an early scare and secure a significant victory over Osbourne in the UFC Vegas 109 co-main event on Saturday night. Osborne, known as the Jamaican sensation, showcased his blistering speed early in the fight, posing serious problems for Erceg. Around the midpoint of the opening round, Osborne landed a lightning-fast right hook that sent Erceg to one knee near the fence. Sensing an opportunity for an early finish, Osborne pressed forward aggressively, ramping up the pressure. Despite the early trouble, Erceg demonstrated great composure and managed to survive the storm. During a frantic scramble, he briefly took Osborne's back, though the former title challenger was more focused on defending and making it safely back to his corner. The second round saw a shift in momentum, with Erceg adopting a more strategic approach by shooting for multiple takedowns to neutralize Osborne's explosive striking. This game plan paid off, as he successfully took Osborne down midway through the third round, settling into half guard before advancing to full mount. Under mounting pressure, Osborne was forced to give up his back in an attempt to defend against Erceg's ground assault. Erceg unleashed some punishing ground and pound and came close to securing a rear naked choke in the closing seconds. However, Osborne's toughness saw him through to the final bell. After a hard-fought battle, the judges awarded Steve Erceg a unanimous decision victory, with all three scorecards reading 29-28 in his favor. Official result was that Steve Erceg defeated Osborne via unanimous decision. The UFC welterweight division is in the middle of a shakeup, with the spotlight now firmly on Jack Della Maddalena, who has taken over the throne once held by Belal Muhammad. Into this evolving picture steps Islam Makhachev, the reigning lightweight champion, who has officially begun fight camp for what could be his high-profile welterweight debut against Maddalena. While UFC brass, including Dana White, have yet to confirm the bout, Khabib Nurmagomedov has already hinted at the promotion's plans, setting the stage for UFC 322 at Madison Square Garden to potentially reshape the 170-pound hierarchy. One notable absence from the active conversation is undefeated contender Shavkat Rakhmonov. Despite holding a top 3 ranking, Nomad has been sidelined since last year. His planned clash with Belal Muhammad at UFC 310 fell apart first due to Muhammad's pinky toe injury, then later because of an injury Rakhmonov sustained during the same event. Tragedy further complicated his 2024, as a recent car accident involving his wife and son claimed the lives of 2 close family friends. While his loved one survived, the incident understandably kept him away from the cage. Meanwhile, number 2 ranked contender Sean Brady has stirred speculation with an Instagram post showing a shadowed figure and the caption, "Official offer, guess who?" He's confirmed that a fight date, location, and opponent are set, but he's keeping the name under wraps, fueling a wave of fan theories. Many believe the UFC is setting up Rakhmonov versus Brady for the UFC 322 undercard as a #1 contender bout, with the winner positioned to challenge whoever emerges from Makhachev versus Madalena. On his Brady Bag show, Brady openly welcomed Rakhmonov back to the octagon and expressed interest in sharing the Madison Square Garden stage with him in November. Fan sentiment is split. Some insist Shavkat is the only one worthy of a #1 contender fight, while others are skeptical about his activity, with one comment reading, "He'll drag it out until February and then pull out." Ian Gary's name has also entered the conversation, with supporters noting his resilience after last year's loss to Rakhmonov and suggesting Gary versus Brady as an exciting alternative. The Irish prospect, who broke into the top 10 after multiple strong performances, sees MSG as the perfect platform to make a leap into the top 5. There's also talk of a Belal Muhammad-Sean Brady rematch, given that Muhammad remains the only man to have beaten Brady, as well as speculation about Colby Covington being in the mix. For now, the UFC has yet to finalize the November card, but Madison Square Garden is shaping up to be the focal point for the welterweight division's next chapter, one that could crown a new contender and set up the most intriguing title fight in years. Alex Pereira is set to step back into the octagon with Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 320 on October 4th. But not everyone believes this rematch needed to happen. Pereira lost his light heavyweight title to Ankalaev in March after spending much of the fight forced onto the back foot, an uncomfortable position for the Brazilian striker. Ankalaev's relentless forward pressure neutralized Pereira's rhythm and power, earning the Russian a clear unanimous decision and his first UFC championship. While Pereira is eager to reclaim the belt and avenge the loss, Chael Sonnen argues that there was little public demand for a second meeting between the two. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Sonnen said he couldn't find anyone clamoring for the fight, claiming it wasn't a matchup fans were calling for on social media or elsewhere. According to Sonnen, UFC President Dana White framed it as simply the best against the best. But the former fighter had hoped the promotion would take Pereira in a different direction, specifically up to heavyweight. Sonnen pointed out that Pereira himself has hinted at the move, posting images on Instagram, showing his weight at 246 pounds and projecting the message that he's already sized for the jump. For Sonnen, a leap into the heavyweight division would be more intriguing than running back, a fight that ended in decisive fashion the first time. The concern for Sonnen is that if Pereira loses again to Ankalaev, especially in back-to-back bouts, it could damage his momentum and limit big opportunities in the future. By contrast, a move to heavyweight could offer fresh matchups and potentially higher reward fights without the immediate risk of another loss to the same opponent. Still, for Pereira, this isn't about novelty. It's about unfinished business. Defeating Ankalaev would make him a 2-time UFC light heavyweight champion and keep his legacy on track after a setback earlier this year. Whether or not the fans asked for it, Pereira vs. Ankalaev 2 is locked in as the UFC 320 main event in October, with the 205-pound title once again on the line and both men looking to make a definitive statement. Charles Oliveira isn't slowing down after his latest setback. The former UFC lightweight champion is set for a rapid return, headlining UFC Rio on October 11th against dangerous striker Rafael Fiziev. The booking comes less than 4 months after Oliveira's knockout loss to Ilia Topuria in June, a fight that cost him another shot at the title. While most fighters might take a longer recovery period after such a defeat, Oliveira actively pushed for this quick turnaround, and he made it clear from the start that he wanted it to happen in Brazil. For Oliveira, the motivation goes far beyond rankings or card status. In fact, he says it didn't matter to him whether UFC Rio was a numbered pay-per-view or a fight night. What mattered was being able to compete in front of the Brazilian fans who have supported him throughout his career, and to fight with his family in the crowd. "I made the request to Hunter and the UFC to fight in Brazil, in front of my people," Oliveira told Thunderpick. "That's something magical for me. Thank God it's happening. Fiziev is no joke. He's a really tough opponent, but I'm genuinely happy and focused. My mindset is bulletproof. When I'm happy and feeling bold, things just flow naturally." The moment the UFC confirmed the fight as the main event, Oliveira said he felt a rush of excitement. He immediately sent messages to his family and coach Diego, ready to dive straight back into camp. For him, fighting on home soil is more than just a location change. It's an emotional and mental advantage, a surge of energy that he believes will fuel his performance on fight night. Although the opponent wasn't his main concern, Oliveira isn't underestimating Fiziev. The striker is widely respected for his elite stand-up skills, smooth footwork, and durability against high-level competition. Oliveira praised Fiziev's technical abilities and respectful approach, but emphasized that his own preparation and mindset will be the deciding factors. "Inside that cage, it's not just me. It's me, him, and a whole nation of Brazilians cheering and vibing with me. That energy will definitely push me forward," he said. Currently holding a professional record of 35-11 with one no contest, Oliveira sits at number 4 in the lightweight rankings. This fight will be a chance not just to bounce back from the Topuria loss, but to remind the division and the fans in his home country why he's been one of the most dangerous and accomplished lightweights in UFC history. With the roar of Rio behind him, Oliveira will be looking to make October 11th a night to remember.